Hey everyone, thank you all for joining us this morning. Today's webinar is hosted by AFDigital, your trusted and accredited Mulesoft partner. Our mission is to redefine the future of human experience with technology. My name's Jeremy and I'll be your host for this webinar. I'm a solution architect with AFDigital, having worked in Salesforce for over 6 years now, and having led more than 20 projects to success with Salesforce. This discussion we will have today can really impact your organization and will bring about a holistic business transformation. The topics we'll be going through include where to start with integration, retail with versus retail without integration, the value Mulesoft can bring to your retail business, and use cases for omnichannel supply chain resiliency, e-commerce, and market expansion. It is a fair amount to cover, but why do we want to talk through this? Here are a few statistics. IT today spends 80% of its time integrating, not innovating. The retail industry faces unparalleled disruption. Market conditions are changing fast. Consumer expectations are evolving. Competitive pressure is increasing, and traditional integration approaches can't keep up. Stat number 2, one of the most important retail industry trends is an investment in omnichannel retail strategies. Research shows that the average digital consumer owns 3.64 connected devices and tends to consult these devices prior to making a purchase. Consumers may look at an item on their mobile and complete the purchase on their iPad, or they may search for an item on the web and pick it up and store it later. The ubiquity of connected devices means that consumers demand a seamless experience across multiple touchpoints. Stat number 3, given the complexity of retail organizations today, driven by the growing number of channels in which customers can engage and transact with their favorite brands, the need for technology to help manage it all has never been greater. However, adding in new technology systems and solutions isn't without its challenges, particularly for legacy brick and mortar retailers. When asked, what are the top challenges when implementing new technology into your business? 70% of retailers said integrating with existing technology. Systems must be able to talk with each other in order to provide the quick, seamless flow of data that's required to provide a personalized customer experience. Without this level of integration, your business is operating at a disadvantage in today's ultra-competitive environment. In today's webinar, we'll be joining Bibhu and Anshuman, 2 major players in the Salesforce consulting industry and at AFDigital, as they discuss the value systems integration can bring to your retail business and how it can address some of the items I've just mentioned. Bibhu is the practice director of the AFDigital CRM practice. Over the years, he's led teams on major service and sales cloud projects for global clients in the life science and logistics industries, in addition to gaining the elite certified technical architect certification, one of only 300 or so globally. Anshuman is our integration architect. His knowledge and expertise stems from his years of experience with various integration tools, Sterling Integrator, Web Methods, and Mulesoft, to name a few. Some of the highlights of his career include the full implementation of integration tools and interfaces for renowned companies like Pfizer and Gemini. We'll also be taking questions at the end of the presentation, so please pop any questions in the chat box as they come up, and we'll get to them later. So, Bibhu, Anshuman, if I were a retail business owner looking to supercharge my business with integration, where would I start?
Thank you, Jeremy, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. Well, that's a very valid question. Every organization should ask, like when, where, and how to start the integration in a retail business. I would say in retail, every business, maybe it retail or any other business, integration was always been a part of every organization. It exists in different forms. For example, let's say some organization may be sending orders through email or receiving, their confirmations through CSV uploads, but they do not have a unified platform where they can see all these integrations going around. So this is where the question comes, where. So starting on the path of integration, I believe no one application or any purchasing channel provides everything a customer does with your company. So in saying that, what I mean, like the customer touches multiple applications and departments along the purchasing journey. So this is where you realize that there are parts where you are not able to give the customer that user experience, which has become a necessity for the customers. So that's the where part. And coming to the how part is how we start the integration in any business. So first thing, every company needs to establish a 360-degree view of the customer by identifying exactly where and how the customer is interacting with your business. Very important point. Second is in many organizations, only if you take sales and marketing alone, use around 10 to 15 applications to engage with customers. Different activities are going around, such as onboarding the customer, maintaining them, and manage customer relationships and interactions as well. This is now a responsibility of the various departments to engage and take the ownership that comes around to their individual responsibilities. When I say ownership, we have different teams working together to make it happen for the whole business. So while I say that, business leaders, for example, take the control of what is the best tool there in the market, and what is the best fit tool that fits with your current ecosystem. Then the IT teams comes around and they figure out how to make all those fit together. And integrating these application systems and services with each other is very crucial to running a streamlined business for today and for the future. Saying that designing your business to have a single consolidated view of your customer allows you to create demand and awareness, get details on your team's promotions, create new and add-on businesses, and provide real-time customer service everywhere your customer demands it. I think that answers the question. Over to you, Bibhu.
Thanks, Anshu, and good morning, everyone. I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying their Friday till now. And just to bring in that context, what you spoke just now, Anshu, where and how is a critical question that needs to be answered for any business who is thinking about integration. And then if you look at your IT landscape, there would be some form of integration would already exist. But whether that is enough to give you your investments, the investments that you're making, whether that is giving you enough return that you're expecting or not, is probably a good point to start. So where you look at your traditional integration methods, like wherein your 80% of your time is actually going in integrating. So as an organization, you have to take a step back and understand, as an organization, what is my motto? My motto is to keep on integrating systems and spend time, money on that, or I needs time to innovate. So that is where you need to think about your strategies and think about and putting your customers into the center, and then think about what are the first few things that you can leverage using integration to give benefits. Because as we move along today's discussion, we'll be talking about a lot about integration, or a lot of things that you can do with integration. But where and how to start is you have to take a step back, think about your organization, what is the most appeasing point that is going to give you the benefit. So that is the first probably a point that you need to think about from a marketing point of view, from IT point of view, from a supply chain point of view. Every department that you have as a retail business, you need to think about which is the point where it is going to give me the maximum benefit. And from there, I need to start. So, and how do you start this journey is from my perspective, Anshu, I think what I always think that customers nowadays, if you think about the retail business last 40 years or 50 years, the last 10 years, or quite arguably probably last 5 years or so, the retail business has changed a lot. A tremendous amount of change has been brought into retail business. It has been very, very low margin business as usual. And so that's why it is very competitive market. So what is that these guys need to think about, and how they would think about bringing in the operational excellence is important. And that is where I think putting customer first and thinking that, okay, I need to give an omnichannel experience to my customer. I need to make sure that in order to give that omnichannel experience to my customer, I first need to have the data in front of me to cohesively understand what is my single customer view. So if that is not being done, obviously I would not be able to move ahead and then implement any system in that context, right? Now that we understand where, and we would start how we would start our journey for the integration, how we start thinking about the integration. Let's move on to the next topic, Anshu, which it always comes to me that over the years, when I see my customers in retail industries particularly, the few still don't have a proper integration strategy. So from your perspective, what do you think a retail business having an integration in place in comparison to a retail business not having an integration, proper integration in place. So what do you think? What is the difference between them?
Yeah, absolutely. As you said, like last 10 years has been a massive change in the retail business. And even in last 1 or 2 years that we saw the pandemic, what it has done to the whole businesses. So it's not the matter of only existing there, but it's the matter of surviving as well. So in that case, we have to be constantly changing and constantly innovating our business strategies, and accordingly, our backend tools are also getting the innovation. So I cannot even imagine the retail business without integration in today's world. Retail without integration cannot survive in today's world. It's so competitive in so changing industry. Um, you need to have a robust and comprehensive solution for your business. So saying that, I would like to put 3 points for each. With retail, with integration, retailers and suppliers are able to transform the online shopping experiences. That is the first point. Second will be retailers could able to integrate numerous customer-facing or back-end office mobile apps or SaaS applications. Of course, not to talk about the legal systems, legacy systems. Sorry, the legacy system that create the technical debt, all of which has been generating data in silos without integration. That's difficult without integration to bring them all together, to bring a 360-degree customer view. Third one is could able to easily manage and deploy business critical applications, which need to be added frequently as per your sales team or any other team comes to you saying that, okay, this is the new feature we need. So it's very hard for the development team to work on it, and it's a matter of months to bring it up without integration. Yeah, that's with integration. Without integration, as I said, you cannot establish a single view of the customer. You cannot enable the omni-channel purchasing strategy. You cannot integrate. There's no integrated approach to storing your and managing your customer-generated data. To tell the customer the story that you have.
Thanks, Anshu. And I think I would like to throw some light on it because I was doing some recent studies, and there are a few connected shoppers report and all the stuff that has been published by Salesforce, where I was reading. So the few things that is mentioned in there, like close to 70% of the people, our customers nowadays, they prefer to kind of go through multiple channels before even if I put myself into the place. I browse through my desktop, I browse through my mobile, I browse through my any other. I go to the store as well. Like, so as we said, multiple channels. Like, I'm interacting with the same company in multiple channels, and as a matter of fact, this is also my tendency, and also the study shows that I tend to spend more when I have a omni-channel experience, even if sometimes you create a need for the customer without them actually having a need, right? As a retail business, it is so much essential to create that need for your customer. They say that, okay, you probably would spend, you're likely to spend 41% more if you have a multi-channel experience or omni-channel experience, and that is a staggering number. If we can, in this competitive market, if we can retain someone as a loyal customer and then extract that extra kind of revenue that we could generate, that's such a huge benefit to the organization. And as you said, like, without integration, having an omni-channel experience is only a dream, right? It can only stay on a paper. It cannot come to a practical fruition. And at the same point of time, because it is preventing you to actually get a single customer view, right, without integration, as you said. And what does a single customer view means? Like, because I have seen so many customers in my last 10, 11 years using the terminology single customer view, and actually understanding what is a single customer view is a big difference. Single customer view is just not, okay, what is my email address, what's my service requests that I've raised, or what are my orders that I've given, what are the different order transactions that I've done. That's not single customer view only. Having a preference and understanding what I prefer, what I would like to do, and what I would, as a customer, I always expect that I am treated as a person. I'm just not treated as a customer. And that's why it comes to that. Without having that single customer view, you cannot offer a personalized omnichannel experience to your customer. And that's why I think this is where our importance of integration comes in, as you rightly mentioned. So when we're talking about integration, so let's deep dive into it and then have our further discussions, like for our audience, like why Mulesoft, like how Mulesoft will help. That's the second step. But then why Mulesoft? Because you have so many tools in the market available at this point of time to integrate, and the varieties of applications that is available from variety price range and various different capabilities. So Anshu, I would like to understand from you, because you have worked on so many different technologies from integration platform, uh, why Mulesoft?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is very crucial for any business to choose the right kind of tool that fits to their ecosystem. You do not want to have two Ferraris in the garage, kind of. So when you choose one, because you're also putting a lot of licensing costs into the tool, so you go for a tool which you go ahead and do your developments, and at a certain point you realize that it doesn't fit to your requirements, and you have to go back. You cannot reuse, you cannot scale up. So in that case, you cannot go back to another tool. So it's costly as well, so because you have invested into your resources, invested into the licenses as well. So by saying that Mulesoft gives a very different approach. Why I'm saying that, because I have worked on different traditional integration tools as well, so I can build up that comparison in my mind. And then saying Mulesoft comes with its own layered approach and a very strong architectural approach. So when you say architecture, so no tool can give best output without without a good architecture. So the architecture is very important to give you a reusability, availability, composability, and of course the security, which is the important part today's world. So with MuleSoft, this acceleration gets a boost, as it has all necessary connectors or accelerators to connect anything, all the tools, that all the applications that you have, of course with the best practice approach. So talking about the accelerators, MuleSoft provides amazing accelerators, which are called as MuleSoft accelerators. What are these accelerators? These are pre-built technical assets and blueprints, which helps accelerating key use cases, which have already been tested with the best approach. APIs, API-led approach, integration templates, commonly used patterns, PubSub, or even based, or reference architectures as well. So these are all been there with MuleSoft. So they have over the years they have these experiences and applied these best practices, and also some additional tech assets. So these are accelerators. They have a lot of good accelerators in for retail as well.
Yeah, okay. So as I'm understanding, what you're speaking about obviously is the agility. And I think today's market, retail industry needs agility like anything, and they cannot survive without agility. And it's a very daunting task when you come across the staggering kind of statistics, understanding that a single retail transaction crosses on an average 39 different systems. That's a big number, 39 different systems. And on top of it, I've also read and done some research as well, wherein retailers may have over 900 systems overall, which is why it is really important for getting that agility. And when we talk about agility, your marketers, you have different departments in the retail industry, retail business. Your marketers, you have supply chain, you have warehousing, you have logistic, you have so many different departments which is working cohesively to get an outcome for the company. But when it comes to agility and try to develop something and try to deploy something, the agility comes to a bottleneck when it hits the IT landscape. And that has been my experience over the years. It always comes down to IT. And then, because this is a system which would need to have that flexibility to deploy and develop things as quickly as the market needs changes. So if you don't have, I think what you're talking about with MuleSoft, having those accelerators or having those connectors available, it makes it it gives the power to the IT to have that agility in their hand. They don't have to again think about all those developments that they would do to deliver a successful, let's say, outcome. So they can do all these things quickly. And again, as for the standard MuleSoft projects that I also see, it certainly delivers approximately 2.5 or to 3x faster. The projects would be definitely that much faster to deliver an outcome. Obviously, the initial setup requires time, but after that, reiterating and doing those things, change things again and again, it makes it really faster. So on that, Anshu, I would like for our audience to understand when we're talking about MuleSoft API-led integration, and then this tool needs to be integrated. I would like our audience to understand probably an example and then see through that example what could happen without a tool like MuleSoft and what could happen with a tool like MuleSoft. If you could throw some light on it, please, and then we can discuss more on it.
Yep, sure. This example I have taken from MuleSoft, which is a very good example, so that the layman terms everybody can understand it. What it does is, so if you see this architecture, this is when you look at it, it has two sources of truth for this ecosystem, which is Salesforce and SAP. When you look at it, you can rightly say that this is a very point-to-point, tightly coupled architecture. So let's say you have, the customer data in SAP. You have also customer data in Salesforce, and you have, order history or inventory data in both. So what in a traditional environment the developers will do, they will create an aggregated customer data. So like if somebody in the web app API wants to consume that, so they wanted they create an aggregated data with many codes around it, and they create two different APIs. So it's tightly coupled. So when there is a need for another web app to access this data, it's very hard to deploy. It's very hard to develop. So when you go to please go to the next slide. You'll able to see the spaghetti kind of, this is what it happens when the developer goes to the second one. So as long as the requirement comes in from different teams, you kind of creating a spaghetti and a technical depth. So it's tightly coupled. You cannot move these applications around. Tomorrow, if you wanted to change SAP with NetSuite, you cannot do it because it's all around. You cannot change anything. So you cannot plug and play. With MuleSoft, if you see, that brings a very structured and layered approach. So you see that experience layer and process and the system layer. Each system has its own system APIs. So that makes it more powerful so that you can plug and play tomorrow. If there is another application, you can plug and play. So each of these have their own system, and then they have their own process layer where you do the orchestration, you do the data cleansing and the transformation. In many times you can also do that in the system layer as well. And then your experience layer, which is giving you the security that you need from the outside world. So the security from the mobile apps, from the over the internet. So all the API SLAs or or your proxies or any security that you have, you can place on that layer. So it's a very structured approach that you have through MuleSoft. And the main thing is reusability and scalability. That is the most important part, where you do not want to have a lot of cost on your ongoing BAU activities as well. So this gives you more flexibility.
Okay, that makes sense, Anshu. And then what I'm thinking of is that then the key striking difference between obviously the traditional integration and this new way of integration is it's allowing that decoupling or the tightly coupled methods, which makes it so custom code, and then again that prohibits your agility, as you said. So the tightly coupling, if you do a more of point-to-point integration and then develop that spaghetti network, it stops you from developing a new thing and quickly enabling your business to get the benefit out of it. But in this process, what we are doing is that it's making that coupling as a loosely coupled integration. And in that process, we are allowing our business to expand, and a little business or any other business for that matter, to expand to a different channels and to different experience layers. And then and in this process, you focus on more innovation rather than developing, because you would develop these APIs once and then you will reuse it. So your cost and the time for reinventing the wheel or doing the same thing again and again is reduced. So now you can focus your time and energy into innovating and then thinking about how you can serve your customer better, rather than thinking about, okay, how I focus my energy to get a API stand up and then get another API again to work on it. This is really insightful, Anshu. And then when I see this process API layer, I think that is where you're doing all those transformations and all everything in here, and that is getting exposed into your experience APIs.
Absolutely, yes.
Cool. Okay, so I hope that that would have given some context, and the visual context as well as the example-wise context to our audience at this point of time, and they would have understand how Mulesoft can help them accelerate their business growth. So let's move on to our. I understand from that perspective is, yes, I know now I need integration. I know now as a little business, I know now that I need to think about integration, and probably Mulesoft or Mulesoft as a tool can help me accelerate. But then again, it comes back as in, let's say, if I'm a C-level executive or I'm sitting with making decisions about different tools or how much cost I'm going to spend, I need to think about, okay, how long it is going to take me to implement this and how easy or difficult it is to implement this kind of a tool to my business. Because I would not, as a C-level executive, again, I would not buy a tool just for the sake of buying a tool, right? I would buy a tool for my entire business, and I would think about how I can utilize that tool across my business. So based on your experience, again, what do you think, like, what are some key factors, or how we can help our audience to understand that whether it is easy or difficult going through this whole implementation of Mulesoft platform in the retail business cycle?
Yeah, this is a very valid question, but I don't want to paint a wrong picture, like saying that Mulesoft gives it very easy to implement. So it depends on each architecture and each ecosystem that you have. So different businesses has different landscapes, and according to the landscape, the complexity of those integrations comes in. So so we do a very layered and a very phased-wise approach to see to do our discovery first, to go to the discovery and see that what is the best way way we can implement Mulesoft to your current ecosystem or current landscape. So we do a like go through the software development life cycle, I would say, like building the discovery and the design, and then the planning, do it POC if that's required, or like test-driven approach, and the secure operation governance is one of the important things. We do a governance around the whole, the discovery and the API management, and then we go ahead, and that actually gives less time to the market requirements. So it's an agile world, and Mulesoft very goes hand to hand with the agile environments. So that's how we go, and we try to implement it faster.
Okay, that makes perfect sense, and I understand why you would not be able to quote and say that it is easier or difficult. But I think based on my experience, what I've seen is it has been statistically proven that Mulesoft projects or Mulesoft implementation makes projects faster after obviously the initial implementation. And it has been, obviously there are a lot of use cases from Mulesoft that has been floating around to make that as a success story. But I think one of the key things that you mentioned here, which is governance, and I love when we start talking about that, because it's not only Mulesoft implementation, it is about any platform implementation, and governance has a big role in it. Like, it plays a big role when we talk about any platform implementation. So for an example, like as you said, like if I am a C-level executive and then I bought my Mulesoft, but I have different business units, they are not talking to each other. They're not planning with each other. Then this tool would be utilized across different business units, but they will spend their money and then the cost developing the similar functionalities. May not be the exactly same functionality, but then they would do a similar functionality. And that is where I think governance comes to a play, wherein you always, when you start any platform implementation, and specifically a complicated kind of, you're talking about your APIs, you're talking about your middleware, you're talking about your different so many systems, you need to bring in those champions, or at least bring in those business unit SMEs into a single room and then let them discuss. And then for that, I normally advise to have, let's say, having a center of excellence, and it doesn't need to be a huge team. It could be just a matter of few people depending on the size of the business, or it could be ranging into 10, 15 people depending on the business. So I've seen global businesses who has global COEs, and then they have local COEs as well. So there is a variety of model that can be, I think, placed in that particular model. What it is allowing is that take an architectural discussion and actually architectural decision, like, okay, what is my API looks like, or what is that API that I should be developing, like which will actually give me the most value for my time or money, right? So that's all you need to take care of, and then have those discussion and then architecture level, and then take that decision, and then making sure that, okay, those work that has been done as part of one project is being published across, so that your other departments also have an understanding that, okay, this is something already existing, I don't have to do it again, I can just reuse. Otherwise, I think the success of this particular platform would not be realized if you're not reusing it. If you're just using the same old method of doing and developing another thing again and again, so then that will not give you success. So the key point here is the planning of initial stage, what exactly you're trying to achieve as a business, as an organization, what is your strategies, and then taking steps from there would be a big help for you guys to decide how fast you want to move with Mulesoft project. And it is not like you have to take a decision for everything, right? So it's always kind of you try, fail, and try, fail, as in you do those things. And that's why you have this flexibility. I think what Anshu, you mentioned, that doing those quick POCs and having that kind of a platform where you could actually do that quick POC and turn around and then do some mock responses on mock screens, and then exercise those options, and then see whether your actual implementation would be useful or not, is something that you can do. And then having that flexibility on this platform is definitely be a big help. And you can iterate over it, right? So once you do a small thing, then it's a standard, as you said, it's a very agile methodology or agile method of developing with integration as well. And you can maintain all these stacks within your platform and make sure that you're following the right approach. I think as long as the right approach is being maintained, getting the value or getting the ease of development would be an outcome of it. Whether you're doing that planning properly or not is probably pivotal to it. So now that I think we have spoken quite a lot about different strategies of Mulesoft and how we can leverage the benefit of Mulesoft in retail business, I would like to understand, probably for the sake of our audience, Anshu, that if we could just now talk through again a proper example and give them a context that, okay, how an integration go through a retail business, as a specifically retail business, how that goes through different phases, and maybe a specific example to them to understand what and how this integration can be done properly and why it really matters. Like, what is the benefit that they're going to get out of it? Everything that we discussed.
Yeah, sure. It's very rightly said that the governance is so important, because with proper governance in place, you can build the foundation of every company. That foundation is so important. With the correct foundation, you can build on top of it. So without the correct foundation, it's risky and more fragile. So Yeah, so it's and the POCs is very important in MuleSoft, because I come from traditional tools as well. Doing a POC in traditional tools takes a long time. So for we get scared when the customer says like, okay, we need a POC, because that means a lot of work on the development. It's like creating the development again by its own. But MuleSoft gives you so many tools so that you can mock, as you said, you can mock your APIs and you can quickly get turned around, and it's an iterative process. You can get your feedbacks quickly from your customers, and you can see that okay, what the output is. Yeah, that's truly correct. So that's coming to the example about the API-led architecture that we did already, with a success story that we have with Pilot. Pilot is one of the companies, US-based companies, which was they are like 7-Elevens in Australia. So they are on all the petrol pumps. They have stores everywhere. A very complex architecture. And Pilot was really struggling with their EDI kind of integration earlier. And while when Pilot has seen their spaghetti network, they were struggling with their partners. They're not able to send confirmation within times, cannot acknowledge their orders within times. So their business was really struggling. When they went for MuleSoft, they had a very phased approach, where they have as I said, like project one, they prioritize their applications which they can give quick output to the business, and that business can able to get more fruit from the development teams. So they get an API-led architecture, and then they quickly, as I said, the POC, they can able to get the POCs done quicker with their partners, and they could able to implement those APIs quicker. If you see this architecture that we have, it's a very again the same experience process and the system layers we have. They have NCR as a payment gateway, the parking reservation system, and shower reservation system as their system layers. And each system has their system APIs. And they have a customer API on the process layer, which gives which is converted into canonical, and then that canonical gives you another 360 domain customer view, as I said, like, which can be accessed by the experience layer with different. So this is a scalability wise, it's so much scalable. It's, if you have a new API for tomorrow in the experience layer, they can able to get the 360 view of the customer from the domain API as well. So it creates scalability, it creates reusability, composability as well everywhere. So we go with this best practice. It's a success story for MuleSoft.
That sounds exciting, actually, Anshu. I think another customer of mine recently, I was working with them and exactly Salesforce, and we were actually integrating with SAP via MuleSoft, and also we're trying to expose the, as you gave the other example, with orders to the external environment. So that's, they're doing exactly similar way of development. But I'm trying to understand one process here, like, one thing here. It's like in your process APIs, you see you have a customer API, then you have a domain API. Is that the layer where you actually do, or let's say take care of any transformation that needs to be done within the platform, or where do you do it?
That's right. Yeah. So different architects, it depends on the architect how they want to look at it. So mostly process APIs, they do the data orchestration or the transformation or cleansing as well. And then some you can also do it in the system layer as well. Those, but if you do it like a process layer, you can have those canonicals that can be used, reusable canonicals, or versioning of those canonicals can be done, and then they can be used by multiple multiple layers on the experience layer, or yeah. So that's quite the heavy lifting has been done on the process layer.
Yeah, okay. And experience APIs, as I'm understanding, it's probably very light layer, and because you, as you said, the process APIs and system APIs is where you've done the heavy lifting, and the experience APIs is where the agility comes in. Like once these things have been prepared, you can add in any platform that comes into the experience API to access that information. So I'm trying to understand, like, how if I need to, let's say, do some abstraction, like whatever there in PFJ360 domain API in this example, I might be kind of willing to expose only partial data to Service Cloud, and then some other data to Marketing Cloud, and then maybe some subset of data to partner APIs. So where do you control that? Is that something that you control at the experience layer itself?
Absolutely, yeah. So that can be done in the experience layer as well, all the metadata that comes in and the rules. For example, you have Service Cloud, and what are the data that you wanted to display there. So that can be handled in the experience layer as well. And then it's more of your mobile app centric, or your over the internet centric, where you wanted to, where that is the part where it is interacting with the customer. So that's over the internet. So very crucial part as well. And also on top of that, you can have your API management, where you can put your proxies, security layer as well, where you wanted to secure your APIs. You can put your proxies. So that's flexibility. Your SLAs as well, so you can put your SLAs on your proxy. So that capability is also been provided, and it's very easily you can do it than other traditional tools. Other traditional tools, you have to rely on the infrastructure team to get the proxies up and running, so that you can it's very, the time to deploy is much less in MuleSoft than the other traditional tools.
Thank you so much, Anshu. I think we have gone through a lot today based on whatever the time we had. And I'm pretty sure our audience would have got some insights of why this integration really matters in a particular to a retail business. And with this moving market conditions all the time, having a headless commerce is as important as anything. Having a loyalty app, having the experience that you're providing to your customer. We spoke about all this today into the session, that how you get started, why you need to think about it, and how MuleSoft can help you in that aspect. So with that, I'll probably leave my audience to that any questions that they might have. And Jeremy, over to you if there is any question, anything that they would like us to answer.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We do have a question here. This is the question. We're looking to acquire several other retail shops in the future, but they have different systems for us within us. How can MuleSoft help us to onboard them quicker?
I can take it. That is why how you can segregate your different layers of MuleSoft integration. So if you have different shops, if you're in different systems to connect to, so each of these systems have a connector. So MuleSoft gives connector to all of the systems that you have. So it's very lightweight connectors, and it easily connect. Like within clicks, you can able to connect those systems, and then you can bring up your implementations faster. So yeah, so it depends on what systems you have. So that again will take detailed discovery. And for example, for SAP, you have an accelerator for SAP. So we can use that for SAP, or you can have your orders coming from Shopify or from any other marketplace. So that has accelerators and connectors for all of those. So we can utilize those to bring up the implementations.
And Anshu, if I may add into this, if we're talking about getting more and more retail stores and then business adding in, so I think the benefit with this MuleSoft, what will happen is that as long as you have your system APIs, which is your, I think, downstream applications or maybe an upstream application, so depending on what kind of applications that you have, as long as you have those process APIs defined, doesn't matter how many stores come in, and doesn't matter what, if it is a franchisee model and you're expecting them to have a completely different set of tools for getting the data, so they just need to be connected to the process APIs. As long as they have those, we can place them in the experience API and get them connected to the process API, they can access the same data. So it'll be like the time to market, as he said, it'll be very quick. Even if they come up with new stores and different systems, even like if the new store has the same system, of course it's easy. But even if they have different systems, for each of the different systems, you can create those generic APIs where they can make a call and get this data back into their particular platform or communicate with the system.
Absolutely, yes.
Any other questions, Jeremy?
Thanks for that, guys. Yeah, no, that was the question that we had come through. So that looks like everything for now. So thank you both, Bibhu and Anshu, for distilling the huge value that MuleSoft can bring to retail businesses down into a presentation less than an hour long. I know for a fact that there is a vast amount of knowledge and experience that's been left out of this presentation in the interests of time. The key takeaways that we've covered: integration matters. It allows business to make the most of the data available to them. You can bring retail flexibility with integrated data to your business, and Mulesoft really accelerates digital transformation, allowing you to be agile with your data and processes. And thank you all to our attendees for joining us for this discussion. If you think we can help you bring value to your business, we'd love to talk to you further about how we can assist you on your journey of business transformation and innovation. So please reach out to us via the website at afdigital.com, or get in touch with Bibhu, Anshu, or any of the amazing and talented AFDigital team through LinkedIn. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you again in the next webinar. Bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.